Well, good evening, everybody. It's Cutler here in the Let's Talk the Cutler broadcast, the Let's Talk the Cutler program, the Let's Talk the Cutler podcast. I'm glad to be here. I hope some of you all can actually see me. A couple of weeks ago, I had some technical difficulties when I was not in my normal broadcasting spot. So I'm hoping that you guys can see me this time, that you can jump on with me and we can all participate in this conversation. Hey, listen, it's already the 23rd of December, just a couple days away from Christmas, a couple days away from the big holiday, and there are there are just some accoutrements of the season that remind me it's really Christmas time, and I'm going to share some of those with you all. Hey, listen, if you're passing by my channel for the very first time, do me a favor, just stop, just stop what you're doing, just join us for about 1,800 seconds because we are all about inspiration, motivation, and we're about showing up tomorrow a little bit better than we did today. We're about encouraging ourselves and challenging ourselves. And we're doing that all as a team, as a family, as a community of winners, as someone dubbed our an endearing term for our group. And I certainly appreciate that. I call us all fellow passengers on the highway of life because we're riding along this highway. We're reading the signs, we're reading the billboards. And as we're reading the billboards, we're trying to see, what applies to me? What doesn't apply to me? What nugget can I get to give to someone else and share with someone else to make their lives a little bit better? I want to talk about what do we do when we come to the end of the year? What kind of assessment do we do? Because if we've done all this talk and had all these wonderful conversations, how are we assessing ourselves? I want to ask you all how you're doing with becoming better. Because, for over a year now, we've been reading this book right here, Billboards to Better, 366 daily sources of motivation and inspiration along the highway of life. But how are we doing? Are we really becoming better? Because, we're going to make a transition over to another book that I've written. But before we do, I really want to know if we are better. If we are better for this journey together. I want to talk about that and talk about how we can do an assessment. In fact, why don't we do an assessment together right here this evening? We'll do that as soon as I come back. Do me a favor. If this is your first time, go ahead and subscribe. Click on the notification bell and let you know whenever I've gone live or whenever I have uploaded new content. And if you're in the chat, come on and just do a thumbs up on the conversation. I promise you, I'll be right back. We're going to take an end of the year assessment and we'll do it together. Tell somebody, come on, let's talk to Cutler. I promise you, I'll be right back.
Let's talk to Cutler. One more thing, like subscribe and share. Come on, let's talk to Cutler.
Well, I want to say a Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays to everybody. We're already here at December the 23rd, of course, 2 days away from the big Christmas holiday. And one of the things that is a surefire sign that it's Christmas time for me is a snow globe. I love a good snow globe. No, I was dancing to the music, but let me show you all this. Oh my goodness. I love a beautiful snow globe. Isn't that beautiful? It plays music. Let me see. I love snow globes. How many times have I said that, right? Let me make sure I put this back. All right. Get that back. But I love the accoutrements of the holiday season. I really do. Snow globes is just one of them. Give me turtles, Christmas card, poinsettias. What is the one thing that you all see that definitely lets you know that it's the holiday season? Let me know what things you look for. Some people look for bells, some people look for wreaths, some people look for trees, some people look for lights. Let me know what you look for as an indicator that it's really the holiday season. Tracy, I see you like snow globes as well. But let me do a shout out. Speaking of Tracy, let me do a shout out to the LTTC VIPs for this evening. They typically are the first 3 people to jump into the chat. and they're ready to move the chat right along. It's Tracy Johnson who says, "Hey everyone, Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays." Ray Della Lewis says, "Happy Holidays to all." McDina says, "Yes, good evening, Happy Holidays." So a special shout out also to Annie Cutler and to Jay Song for you. It's so good to see all of you all. Another special hello to my good friend Auntie's Advice Channel for Women. And speaking of Auntie's Advice Channel for women, make sure Christmas afternoon at 12:15, you want to run on over to Auntie's Advice Channel for Women. She's doing a special Christmas broadcast. You all don't want to miss it. Set your clocks for 12:15 p.m. Eastern time. All right, with a special broadcast from Auntie's Advice Channel. So y'all put on your pajamas, grab your eggnog, grab your cider, do whatever you're gonna do, and just snuggle up around as we listen to Auntie on Christmas morning, Christmas afternoon. All right, listen. Let's talk about let's see, I'm looking at what some of you all are saying in terms of the things that let you know for sure this is a holiday accoutrement for you. For some of you it really is. You said one, Christmas music playing. Somebody else said let's see, chopping down the tree, all those sorts of things. Let me know. When I was growing up although we sort of grew out of it, one of the things that really let us know that it was a holiday was my grandmother's homemade fruitcake. My grandmother's homemade fruitcake. Now she didn't make fruitcake quite like everybody else. She made fruitcake. Her base was graham crackers, and she would crush those graham crackers, and she would have us to crush the graham crackers too. It's just one of those memories. Now, what sort of threw us off by the time she started adding so many things, it was those gelled fruit, those sorts of things, the lemon peels, the orange peels. But she made a mean fruitcake. So when I heard people saying, "Oh, I don't like fruitcake," it was because the fruitcake wasn't like the one that I grew up with my grandmother's. But I certainly understand. Someone asked me if I would please repeat the time and date for the Christmas special on Auntie's Advice Channel for Women. Thank you. Tracy posted it is 12:15 p.m. Eastern time, and that is Christmas Day. All right, so you want to make sure that you join us over there, and tell everybody else too. Let's go and chit chat with Auntie. All right, you all listen. This whole year, we have been talking about becoming better. We've been spending our Tuesdays and Thursdays here talking about how we can show up a little bit better tomorrow than we did today. And in all honesty, we've talked about the fact that it did not mean, we did not talk from the perspective or from the place of today being a flop or today being a failure, but we talked from the perspective of doing something that was retrospective in terms of what can I look at over the course of the day? How can I take this quote that we're talking about? How can I see, Molly, my friend, good to see you. It's been a while, but so good to see you. We've been talking about how can I take that quote? How can I find a nugget, something of value, something of substance, and use that to become a little bit better tomorrow than I did today? And we've been doing this well now for over a year. And I wanted to, as we got to the end of the year, I wanted to ask us all together, corporately, how are we doing? This is just one of those fireside chat, how are we doing moments. How are you all doing? Are we really better? Have we gotten better? Have we realized any growth? Have we seen some major milestones, some major accomplishments? And that's what I want us to talk about tonight, because it will have done us no good to meet every Tuesday and Thursday. No good for us to have met every Tuesday and Thursday, and we are not better for the journey. We've been talking about not becoming stagnant. We've been talking about not becoming complacent. We've been talking about not getting stuck. We've been talking about not going backwards, but instead full steam ahead. And the focus has not been so much on other people as it has been on us. We haven't come here to talk about other people and their power in our lives and what they have done to us, but it is about us, not necessarily a focus on others. Our time has been spent with examining how we can become better, sometimes individually and sometimes collectively. Our time has been spent with examining how we can get rid of some of the things that are weighing us down. Our time has been spent. I'm just doing an assessment, pulling us back to say, what have we been talking about? What have we been doing? If someone is just passing by our channel for the very first time, we want them to know that we have spent this year with clinical assessment. And we've been doing it together. None of us are claiming to be experts, but we have opened ourselves up to each other as clinicians. So we've been taking a look at how we can build peaceful habitations, how we can nurture healthy relationships, how we can set goals, and how we can pursue dreams. That's what we've been talking about. That's exactly what we've been talking about. And so tonight we get to see how we've done. We get to see how we've done. And so I want to ask you all, as you're joining me in the chat this evening, I really want to hear from you. I want to know what our time has been like over the year. Tell me this, and you all can say yes or no. And you can talk to me even there in the chat, even in the comments. First question I want to know: did you make a commitment to become a better you? That's one of the first questions. Did you make a commitment to become a better you? You all type and talk to me there in the chats. Of course, you all know I'm not in my regular place, so you hear the phone ringing, and that's okay. All right, it's the holiday season. But tell me this, you all in the chats. I want to know this: did you make a commitment to become a better you? I'm not asking you what that commitment looked like. I'm not asking you if you reached that goal, but I'm asking you, did you make a commitment at some point along our discussions, along our talks, along our conversations to become a better you? I certainly did. I certainly did. Thank you, McDina. McDina says, she says, yes, Tracy, thank you all. And in that case, guess what, you all? Success. Success. Put a check mark there, put a mental check mark in your Rolodex that when you made a commitment to become a better you, somehow that was success, because you all remember I said you become better the moment when you commit to wanting to be better. Better is a state of mind, and the inertia is set for better when you decide in your heart, your soul, and your mind that I want to be better. I'm going to be better in spite of and despite it all. And so I've not asked you if you've crossed the finish line to better, but did you make the commitment? If so, success for you. All right. Another benchmark in terms of how well we've done, because we're taking the assessment tonight. Another benchmark in terms of how well you've done over the year. Have you accomplished at least one goal? Don't beat yourself up for what you didn't accomplish. You all know this channel is about inspiration and motivation and challenging us to show up a little bit better. So don't beat yourself up for what you didn't get done. My question is, have you accomplished at least one goal this year? You all can talk back to me. You can put it in the chat. So did you accomplish at least one goal? It could have been a financial goal. It could have been a health goal. It could have been a spiritual goal. It could have been an emotional goal. It could have been an educational goal. It could have been a career goal, right? And in that case, if you accomplished at least one goal, make a notion, make a mark that for you, success. I'm showing you all what success looks like, what it looks like, what a real assessment looks like. This is why we've been spending our time together. I could ask you all this on a scale of 1 to 10. So now let's not do the yes or the no. And I don't need to see these answers, but I want to ask you all this, and you can answer this for yourself. On a scale of 1 to 10, with 1 being poor, 10 being excellent, here's a question: how much do you love others? Some of us, if I may be honest, some of us started our conversation off and we weren't so fond of loving others, or we had trepidation with sometimes loving others, right? So on a scale of 1 to 10, perhaps you have grown just a little. I don't care if it's a 0.25. All right. But then my other question, you all, because more than just others, here is the real question for me. I think it's wonderful if you love others. But the commandment is for us to love others as we love ourselves. So my question then is, how much do you love yourself? As you look back over this year that we spent together, have you done a little bit better about loving yourself? About seeing the value inside of you, about seeing the worth inside of you, about understanding that when the Creator called and calls you to be on this thing called the planet Earth, among what we now call humanity, it was done for reason and purpose and divine order. And so it is my goal, it is my hope that you realize that there's value inside of you. So that is why when we get to the end of the year and we do this assessment, I just want to remind you of one of the things that we've always talked about. There's beauty, there's value inside of you. So I hope that on a scale of 1 to 10, how much you love yourself has grown over the course of the year. And not only that, of course, we talked about forgiving others, and I get that. But my focus this evening, as we do this end of the year assessment, how easy has it become for you to forgive yourselves? Sometimes we hold ourselves hostages. Sometimes we hold ourselves prisoners in a cell that was never meant to hold us. We create proverbial jail cells and proverbial prison walls. And we lock ourselves inside of those walls because we fail to forgive ourselves. But my question, my friends, is have you become a little more adept at forgiving yourselves? That's the kind of assessment that I'm looking for this evening. I hope your answer to that question is Cutler, absolutely. And then as we're doing this assessment, you all know I am so keen and so big on this one. How serious have you become about your peace of mind? Is it important for you to create a habitat of peace? Have you learned how to tell people that your brick no longer fit the foundation of the space that I'm trying to build? That's what we've been talking about over the course of the year. Much of this is empowerment. Not only inspiration and motivation, but we've been encouraging and empowering each other. There's a scripture that tells people to contend for the faith, but I want you all to contend for the peace of mind that you've worked so hard to achieve. Right? Another assessment. Have you taken the time to help encourage or motivate somebody else? You all know we've been on this journey, but we've not been on this journey together. We're on this highway and we're going to this place and this space that is called better. But our goal is to not get there by ourselves, but our goal is to reach back, pull back, and push up. So how have we done with encouraging somebody else, with motivating somebody else? How have we done with exercising our minds? Are we at least now able to see two sides of the coin? We have not always agreed on everything. Absolutely not. And that was never the premise of this channel. That was never the premise of our coming together. Not so that we can agree on everything, but to give us an open conversation, a forum where we can dialogue and converse about so many things. To exercise our minds more. I trust that you have done that. And one of the things that I do remember, Tracy, and I think you were really instrumental in this. I remember your comment. It was a comment that talked about, or Diane, it may have been you, McDiner, it may have been you. But when we would do the, and I will remind you all that we were on word guard, and we would throw out all of those words. That was to exercise our minds and to get it in sync with our souls and our hearts. Then as we've been talking this year, as we've been talking, y'all only got 1,800 seconds, but I want us to, I want to do this assessment as we have been talking this year. What about this? Have you made any decisions about your physical health? You all know me. I want to thank you all so much because you all have allowed me to be transparent. So when I talked about just my injury and I was not able to run, and then I shared with you all when I ran for the first time and how I would do my walks, and my walk started at 1 mile, and then 3 miles, and then 3.5 miles, and then 5 miles. I want to thank you all for that. Because when I, and you all don't know this, but there were days when I would walk and I would become discouraged because I was slightly in pain. And I said, but I have a whole community of winners who are just applauding me and rooting me on. And so each time I would show up and I would tell you all whether it was the 1 or the 3 miles, and you all encouraged my heart. I want to thank you all for that. So for me, when I talk about this whole notion, have you made decisions about your physical health? You all helped me to make that decision. Not only to make that decision, but you all helped me to reach that goal. I want to thank you all. See, I don't take you all for granted. I don't take you all for granted. And I want you to know that I appreciate you. I know we've had some laughs, we've had some tears, but I'm so serious when I say I show up not wanting to waste your time because you don't waste mine. Let's talk about Tracy. Some of us are still working on the exercise, and you aren't the only one. Our friend Molly says she wants, I want all the best for you and yours for the holidays. I want the same for you, my friend. And I want to ask us this as we get to the end of this year, you never come to the end or to the close of one thing without seeing the opening or the beginning of another. So as we're coming to the close or the end of this year, have you given thought to personal improvement next year? I am not one to make resolutions. I resolve to do this or I resolve to do that. I plan for next year while this year is in motion. That's just how I do. All right. And speaking of planning, here's a question. Here's a question. And I know I'm probably like Cutler, Cutler, you're moving very fast, but this is just food for thought, you all. Because again, I don't want our time together to have been in vain. And so now I'm throwing out these things that really make us think, have I done this? Did I get any of this? Have you taken greater control over and responsibility for your future? Your future is yours. To what extent have you taken control over your future and responsibility for your future? That's a personal question that nobody else can answer. All right? Nobody can answer that. One more. Have you given yourself permission to be your true, authentic, and organic self? Have you given yourself to be your true, authentic, and organic self? And I want to talk about that. I'm going to talk about that in just a moment. But meanwhile, what I want to do is remind you all that as of the beginning of the year, we're going to make our transition into talking about this book right here. This was my fifth book, I think. Fifth. I've written seven. This is book number six. This is book number six. So we're going to talk about when I'm overwhelmed. So make sure that you run on over to Amazon and get the book because it's interactive and there are some things that we're going to talk about as we go into this book. I had a request from several people, a few people who asked me, please go back to this book. We started our conversations with on another platform with this book. This is the book that launched what we now have this evening. So I want to go back here. All right. So I'm pausing to share that. I also want to pause again, just in case you're joining late. I want to remind you to join me Christmas Day with Auntie's Advice. Make sure that you do that. Raydella, thank you for posting that. I'm going to put that right here in the window so we can all see that. Make sure that you join me Christmas Day for the music special with Auntie's Advice and Friends on Auntie's Advice. And that's going to be Christmas Day at 12:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You don't want to miss it. I promise you. You don't want to miss it. So again, get your cider, get your eggnog, get whatever your holiday libation may be, and tune in to the music Christmas special with Auntie's Advice and Friends. All right, make sure you do that. But so let's continue this assessment. Let's continue this assessment. All right. I'm looking at what you all are saying in the chats. One person said, I like turning on music and dancing. So do I. Over the holidays, I absolutely love turning on music and dancing. But the professor and me takes us right back to this exam. We got to get back and finish this assessment. So let's see how we've been doing. Let's see how we've been doing. I want to share this with you all. Earlier today, I made a post on one of my social media platforms. And speaking of, have you given yourself permission to be your true, authentic, and organic self. I posted on another social media platform, speaking of being true and authentic, there are two reasons why I don't compare myself to other people. I've learned a long time ago not to compare yourself with other people. Just don't do it. That is why sometimes we suffer headache, heartache, disappointment, and all of those sorts of things, setbacks and setups. That is why, because we end up comparing ourselves with people. But I don't do that, you all. I allow myself to be my true, authentic, and organic self. Why? Because their journey is not mine. Their journey is not mine. I didn't wear their shoes. I didn't walk along their path. I didn't cry the tears that they shed. I didn't have the dreams that they dreamt. I didn't go the places where they went. I didn't climb over the mountains that they had to navigate. Their journey was not mine. But more importantly for me, my grace is not theirs. Because I want to remind you all of this, that you all, what you wear, the grace that you wear, it has been customized just for you. It has been tailor-made just for you. And you wear that grace like a special kind of suit that fits you and only you. The things that you have been graced to do, nobody else can do it like you. Somebody else might attempt to do it, but they'll never do it like you. Takes us back to understanding the value that you possess when you wake up every day and walk across this thing that's called earth. Give yourself permission to be you, truly you, authentically you, organically you, unapologetically you. Be you, and don't compare yourself with other people. I got to bring these in, you all, but I want to ask you this. I want to ask you this. In this whole self-assessment, this is what I call the year in review. Have you accepted the right to be happy? You all know one of my favorite pieces of literature is La Desiderata, that talks about how I have a right to be here, just like the trees and the stars and the sun and the moon. I have a right to be here. I am no less important than anything else in creation. So I want you to make sure that you accept the right to be happy. I want you to accept the right to smile. I know life sometimes beats us up and beats us down, but you still have the right to smile. Sometimes through the midst of your tears, sometimes through the midst of your pain, you still got a right to smile. And it is not a conflict of interest for you to be able to smile when your heart is aching. Why would I say that? Because many of us have suffered heartbreaks this year. But one of the things that I'm so glad about is the ability, even though we have suffered heartbreaks, we have the ability to love with the broken pieces. That speaks to me. Sure, life comes with its challenges, but guess what? We have the right to tackle and juggle more than one emotion at a time. You all know, one evening I just smile. Whatever you do, just smile. Send somebody a smile. Take a picture of yourself and send it to somebody smiling. Something else I want you all to never forget, and I guess this is just doing a synopsis and a summary, doing what I call a recapitulation of this book. Why? Because I know that we've spent time on it, but I don't want us to lose the value of what we gained with our time spent together. You have the right to change your mind. That's what this book was all about, you all. That's why we spent our time together. You have the right to be happy. You have the right to smile. You have the right to change your mind. And each evening we would come together with these different offerings. And one of the things that I offered us time and time again was the power to free yourself from the restrictions that other people try to impose. You don't get to create a jail and expect me to walk into the cell and give you the key. You don't do it, right? And so although I wrote this book, the journey has been so rich because of you all. It is my hope that we have gotten some sort of inspiration as we read this book. It is my hope that we have realized that we can smile just because we want to. It is my hope that we have been able to see ourselves better today than we were yesterday. It is my hope that we have gotten motivated, that we have set some goals, that we have dreamed some dreams, that we have rekindled some dreams that we almost let die. And that we realize that I can walk through the days with my eyes wide open, and I can still make plans, and I can still set goals, and I can still dream dreams with my eyes wide open. That's what we've been talking about with this book. I hope, it is my hope that we have seen that we have the power to take an empty canvas and create a masterpiece. And if we didn't like what we saw, what we were creating, we had the opportunity to start all over again. It is my hope, and I'm going, but it is my hope that we have seen that we can inhale the breath of the Creator, because that's what's down inside of us. These are my hopes. As we just do a review of this book, it is my hope that we have been empowered to know, that we have been motivated and inspired to know that we have the power to lend a helping hand. Can't necessarily help everybody, but I can help somebody. And then finally, when life is going on, when life is happening, I have the ability, in the midst of whatever's going on, whatever is raining in my life, I know how to take that situation and turn it on a dime, create my own reason to celebrate and dance in the rain. Not necessarily like nobody's looking, dance even if everybody is looking. It has been my pleasure, my honor, to have had you all with me for this several months as we have gone through this book. You've heard me over and over and over say, let's keep building community. I've meant it from my heart. Let's maintain connectivity. In the midst of this pandemic, in the midst of all of this, let's maintain connectivity. Let's check on the widows. Let's check on the young people. Let's check on those in nursing homes. Let's check on family members. Let's check on people who live by themselves. Connectivity. And then you so often hear me say this: keep your heads up. Stay positive. Stay beyond and above the fray. In a world that's filled with everybody that is politicizing things and proselytizing things, I've encouraged us to stay above the fray. Keep your heads up. But more important, I've offered us the power to keep our hopes up, because hope says, I expect something better than where I am now. That whatever I'm going through, when it doesn't look like it's good, this too shall pass. We've had the power and the privilege to walk in ordered steps, and sometimes we miss the mark. But I'm so thankful that, like a GPS navigation system, we were recalibrated into those steps that were ours. And then I always encourage us, as I do tonight, my friends, there's this new variant, this Omicron variant. Stay safe and stay sane. Why, Cutler, do you encourage us to stay sane? Don't let anything or anybody run you crazy. Whenever you need to yell and scream and be true to how you feel in the moment, do that. I'm going to say what I've said for months now. And it is true. I want you all to know this, from my heart to yours. There is and always will be so much love. Listen, go and get this book. Go and get this book. We'll pick it up in January. All right, we'll pick this book up in January. It's on Amazon.com. I want you all to have a fantastic evening. Spread the word. Tell people to tune in to Auntie's Advice channel on Christmas, 12:15 Eastern Time. I'm going to tune in too, so we'll all be right there together. But thank you all for a wonderful journey. It just continues. And happy holidays. Merry Christmas. to all of you. Again, from my heart to yours, there is and always will be so much love. Do a thumbs up on the conversation if you haven't. Good night, all.